We made it. This is the second part of my great escape. If you've been following my journey, you know what it took to get out. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Stephanie. This is my story. I was in a 15-year abusive marriage, and I'm a survivor. On March 21st, I escaped my cats and my brother driving from Georgia to New York. It took 7 attempts to leave for good. This video is the drive home and the moment peace began. In the last episode, I shared the moment my brother showed up and how that marked the 7th and final time I tried to leave. He came off that plane, and for the first time, I didn't feel alone in the fight. I wanted to once again give a huge thank you to everybody that donated, commented, messaged, and lifted me up when I felt like I could not do it. You didn't just support me, you saved my life. And my cat's life. I'm free. I made it out. I left Georgia and I left him. But no one tells you what it actually feels like when the abuse ends. The silence is louder than the screaming ever was. The past few weeks were terrifying, exhausting, overwhelming. But now I'm on the road to freedom, literally. We're leaving Georgia behind, and I'm reclaiming my life in New York. He told me I was worthless, that I was fat, unlovable, no one would ever care for me besides him. He strangled me in the bed, on the stairs, on the couch. He looked me in the eyes and said he was God, that he owned my body, my mind, and my soul. He screamed in my face until I flinched, grabbed my face with both hands and shook me. He told me if I didn't obey, he'd take the cats, the car, my life. He pushed me to the floor. He has burned me, punched walls inches from my head, broken my nose, demanded sex, then mocked me after. He made me walk to the hospital during a miscarriage, bleeding, alone, and terrified. He split my head open. And I stayed. Because I was trained to survive him. Not to leave, not to scream, just to survive. Every part of this is abuse. Strangulation is one of the most predictive indicators of future homicide as it relates to domestic violence. Nearly half of all women murdered by intimate partners were strangled by them first. If you survive it, you're already on borrowed time. According to the Journal of Emergency Medicine, women who survive strangulation by an intimate partner are 750% more likely to be killed by them later. And still, many women, like me, don't report it. Why? Because sometimes reporting means getting arrested yourself. Because we're scared they'll kill us faster if we try. And it wasn't just the hands around my throat. It was the voice that told me I deserved it. The emotional abuse, the gaslighting, the manipulation, they change your brain. Studies show emotional abuse can cause measurable brain damage, shrinking areas that regulate fear, memory, and emotional regulation. He told me I deserved it, that he should just get rid of me. And the sickest part, he always apologized after. Made me think I caused it. Promised he'd be different. That's how trauma bonds are formed. It's the cycle of abuse. It warps your brain, literally. Studies show prolonged exposure to verbal, emotional, and physical abuse changes brain function. The amygdala, the part of the brain that processes fear, becomes overactive. The hippocampus, which regulates memory, shrinks. And cortisol and the stress hormone floods your system. Survivors like me often develop PTSD, CPTSD, depression, autoimmune issues, dissociation, memory loss, and even brain damage. Not because we're weak, but because trauma reshapes the body from the inside out. Trauma researchers state that repeated verbal and emotional abuse can lead to long-term neurological damage that rewires the brain, heightening anxiety and shrinking areas responsible for trust and memory. And it doesn't require a weapon, just repeated, unchecked cruelty. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 81% of women report that emotional abuse had a more lasting impact than physical abuse. He didn't just hit me. He degraded me, humiliated me, called me names in public, cheated, lied, used my trauma against me. I walked to the hospital during a miscarriage, alone. He stayed home drinking, then blamed me for being in pain. And we're often too scared, too tired, or too trauma bonded to even realize it. This is not just a bad relationship. This is not someone who lost their temper. This wasn't love. This was psychological warfare. This is coercive control. This is torture. I wasn't living. I was surviving a hostage situation in plain sight. And it happened so quietly, in homes, every single day, to people who look just like me, your neighbors, your friends, your family. That's what this footage shows. Not a couple fighting, a man trying to erase a woman, slowly and methodically, and him almost succeeding. 1 in 4 women in the US experience severe intimate partner violence. Survivors often describe grief not for their abuser, but for their stolen years. We had 18 hours ahead of us, 3 cats, a U-Haul, and my brother, and a whole lot of trauma in the rear view. I wasn't ready for how emotional this drive would be. We left in the afternoon. My cats were also quiet, like they knew. Every gas station stop felt like freedom. Every highway mile felt like a breath I hadn't taken in years. But it wasn't just joy. There was grief too. Grief for who I was before the abuse, for who I had to become to survive it.
Every mile felt like peeling off a layer of somebody else's control. Like I'd been someone's prisoner for so long. And now I was driving myself back to freedom.
Charlie was exhausted. There were moments he was swerving and we had to pull over. I didn't want to risk it. So we pulled into a rest stop, middle of the night. I took advantage of those times as well. Normally, I'd feel unsafe sleeping in a car in the middle of the night at a highway rest stop. But this time, it was the safest I'd felt in years. There was no yelling, no slamming doors, no being dragged by my hair, kicked, punched, strangled. Just me and my brother and my cats surviving. The drive was a weird mix of Georgia spring and New York winter. It was cold. We had crappy gas station coffee. We kept trying to get the cats to eat, drink, and use the restroom, but they were just scared and silent, kind of like I had been.
I was so broke. Gas was expensive. I was running on adrenaline and grief. But we were moving. That's all that mattered. The cats were quiet most of the way with spouts of cries due to uncomfortableness. I didn't even have time to process everything yet. I just kept thinking, get the babies somewhere safe where I can unload them from their tight quarters and also stand on my own 2 feet without worrying about somebody knocking them out from underneath me, literally.
What no one tells you about leaving an abuser is that your brain doesn't leave right away. My body was in the car, but my mind was still afraid, still waiting for him to call or scream or punish me some way.
Every time I looked at my phone, I was expecting hell. I kept waiting for the guilt, that trauma trained voice in my head just saying, go back, he needs you. You're the reason he's like this. He told me he would kill me. He was strangling me more often. He chased me through the house, trying to rip the cats out of their carriers while he drank as usual, but there was nothing. There was silence. And it was loud. And it was beautiful. Survival isn't selfish, it's necessary.
That was the moment I knew I didn't just escape a man, I escaped a death sentence.
I kept checking on the cats. I was so afraid they were going to stop eating or panic. I didn't just escape abuse. They did too. But they were calm for the most part. It was like even they knew they were finally safe. And I was just exhausted. I hadn't slept in days. Really slept. I hadn't showered. I hadn't eaten much. But I was full of hope. And I could have floated on that feeling.
Crossing into New York was like crossing a threshold. Georgia was behind me. His hands were off of me. The danger was over. And I could breathe again.
I'm reclaiming my life. Driving into New York, the cold hit first. Georgia was spring at the time, and New York was still winter. It felt like time had paused up here, waiting for me to return. I was so afraid it would all fall apart, that I would get a call from him, that he would somehow find me and make his way to me where I was. But no call came at that time. No knock on the door. Just silence and safety. We made it. I didn't know what was next, but for the first time, I decide. This is my life now. Mine.
We crossed the border into New York, and my chest tightened. It wasn't relief yet. It was fear.
Hello, New York. I missed you.
Because safety after abuse doesn't feel like safety right away. It feels foreign. You spend so long surviving chaos that quiet feels dangerous. I was waiting for the call, waiting for the scream, waiting to have to run again. But all that came was silence. In that silence, I started to feel the grief. Not for leaving him, but for the version of me that didn't get out sooner. The one who begged him to love her while she bled. The one who was afraid to open her mouth in public in case he punished her later. The one who walked to the hospital alone while miscarrying because he said it was her fault. The one who had to hold her cats in shaking hands while being screamed at, strangled, punched, and still loved him. People think leaving is a moment, like grabbing a bag and walking out. But the truth is, leaving is a process. It's failed plans, close calls, broken promises. It's going back because you're scared or broke or manipulated into believing they'll change. And one day, it's not just hard to leave, it's dangerous.
People think that once you're out, the pain just ends. But nobody talks about what it's really like after you leave. How you can feel relief and rage at the same time. How you mourn a version of yourself you had to abandon just to survive. How you question everything, your memories, your decision, your worth. You feel guilty for staying, you feel guilty for leaving, angry that it happened, angry at yourself, and terrified that it'll all come crashing down. Even joy feels suspicious at first, like you're waiting for it to be snatched away. This isn't weakness, it's recovery. And even now, with hundreds of miles between us, he still haunts my nervous system. That's what trauma does. It rewires your brain. Verbal abuse, mental abuse, it's not just mean words. It is systematic conditioning that changes how you think, how you feel, how you react. And every mile north, I started to feel it. Not joy, not peace, not yet, but a flicker of something. Possibility, control, a life that belonged to me again. He used money as a way to trap me. He used sex as a way to control me. And he used shame to silence me. And now I was free, but still untangling the web. Since I've been gone, I've learned this. Freedom doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like confusion. Like you're shaking hands or on a steering wheel. Like crying in silence while the GPS counts down the miles. But freedom is still freedom. Even when it's hard. Even when you're broke, tired, grieving, and healing all at the same time. Even when your abuser still tries to call. I didn't know what was waiting for me at the end of the stride, but for the first time in years, the next chapter was mine to write. And that was everything. I kept checking the cats in the back seat. They're like my anchor. Just like you've seen in videos on TikTok of the abuse, they were always there to comfort and console me after. And I felt guilty about that. I was running on 2 hours of sleep and pure adrenaline, but I couldn't stop. Not until I crossed the threshold of my mother's house and locked that door behind me.
Being back in New York, it's not a movie moment. It's real. I'm broke. I'm healing. I'm still scared sometimes. But I'm here. And no one's hurting me anymore. I'm reclaiming everything he tried to take. My voice, my safety, my fucking life.
It's not over. There's healing. There's rebuilding. But I made it. And that's everything. To every survivor out there, I see you. And I need you to hear this. You are not weak for staying. And you are not wrong for leaving. None of this is your fault. And again, to everyone that donated, who messaged, who just believed me, thank you. You helped save me. You didn't just help me leave. You helped me live. If you are still in it, you are not weak. You're surviving. If you've left and it still hurts, that's normal. And if you don't know where to begin, start with believing you deserve better. Then make a plan. Trust your gut. You are not alone.
The road to freedom isn't paved in gold. The road to freedom is long. It's built with every sacred step forward. But I'm proof you can make it. Every mile forward is a mile toward healing. And you don't have to walk it alone. I'm here. And if you're watching this, so are you.
Subscribe for healing, truth, and strength. Thank you for watching. Truly. Keep going. Your road is waiting too. From survival to strength, 1 mile at a time.